Long ago, the martial world was divided. The forces of justice and evil battled for control, but one group sought only one thing: absolute strength. They were called the demonic cult. The cult's power rested on six great clans: the sword, dark, spring, poison, blade, and sound. To maintain balance, the cult lord was bound by oath to take a wife from each clan. Their children would one day fight for the right to rule. Every 10 years, the demonic academy opened its doors, triggering the Battle of the Heirs, a brutal competition where only the strongest survived. Cheon Yo-woon was the illegitimate son, always dismissed as the weakest. But now, he has become the most dangerous variable in this ancient game. In the dark forest, Yo-woon ran for his life. His body screamed in pain. Desperate, he tripped on a root and tumbled down a steep slope, landing broken on the cold ground. Anger and despair flooded through him. The truth hit hard. He was never in control, just a puppet dancing in their palms. From the shadows, the assassins emerged. Their leader looked down at the fallen prince and mocked him coldly. "You ran far, Prince Cheon, but this is the end. You have no talent. You abandoned the academy, yet you still hold a claim to the throne. That claim makes you a target. You carry peasant blood, but your lineage commands respect. For that, your death will be painless." Rage burned inside Yo-woon. Peasant blood? How dare they dishonor his mother? They would never give him a painless death. If he was going to die, he would go down fighting. The assassin was amused. He mocked Yo-woon for having no training, yet refusing to give up. This would be a fun hunt. He ordered his men to kill him. That Yo-woon swung his dagger wildly, but the assassin easily dodged. The assassin struck Yo-woon's hand, forcing him to drop the blade. They grabbed him by the neck. But in one swift motion, Yo-woon pulled out a hidden knife and stabbed his attacker. Blood splattered as Yo-woon fell to the ground. Even wounded and broken, a grin spread across his face. The satisfaction didn't last. The remaining assassins closed in, surrounding him. One of them, rage burning in his eyes, dashed forward and drove his knee into Yo-woon's chin. Blood sprayed from his mouth. The assassin cursed, furious that the boy was still breathing. He wasn't done yet. He plunged his blade deep into Yo-woon's stomach and twisted, eliciting a choked gasp of agony. Then he ground his boot into the open wound, enjoying every second of the suffering. Inside, Yo-woon thought, killing one was lucky, but I can't trick them again. This is the end. Nearby, another assassin watched the torture with disgust. But Yo-woon had killed their comrade, so he stayed silent. The boy deserved this agonizing end. Suddenly, a brilliant flash of light erupted. In an instant, the radiance obliterated the assassin who was torturing Cheon. The clearing fell into confused silence. Through the fading glow, they saw a young man standing there, dressed in strange, modern clothes and radiating a vibrant blue aura. A sudden, heavy chill crept into their bones. The remaining assassins charged at the stranger simultaneously. The man with the blue aura merely smirked. Another flash of light tore through the darkness, instantly vaporizing two more attackers. The last remaining assassin stood frozen, trembling in shock. He looked at Cheon, who had lost a massive amount of blood and was clearly on the verge of death. The target is already dying, he thought. The mission is complete. Terrified of the stranger's power, the assassin turned and dashed into the woods. But the stranger didn't let him go. With a casual flick of his hand, a final strike of energy pursued the assassin and destroyed him instantly. Through his haze of agony, Yo-woon watched the silhouettes of his tormentors vanish. The stranger stood over him, checking a high-tech wrist device. "Shit, I plan to explain, but since you're at death's door, we have to improvise." He plunged a metallic syringe into Yo-woon's neck. "Hey, ancestor, please succeed. It'll make my future life a lot easier." Dissolving into blue light, the stranger faded away. "This is the latest 7th-generation nanomachine. Good luck." He vanished. Deep within Yo-woon's mind, a mechanical voice resonated. "Sky Corporation user verified. 7th-generation nanomachine initiating activation." Yo-woon woke up gasping for air. He was confused. He should be dead. He remembered the sharp pain of a sword piercing his stomach. But instead of bleeding out, he found his body covered in sweat and sticky black spots that smelled terrible. Suddenly, a strange voice spoke directly inside his head. "Are you awake, master?" Yeo-woon looked around the empty room. Telepathy? The voice corrected him immediately. "I am connected directly to your neural network. I am the 7th generation nano machine." Yeo-woon had never heard of such technology. He misheard machine as the word for evil god. He trembled in terror, believing the dark deity worshipped by the demonic cult had possessed him. Outside the room, the situation was tense. Gar Jang was leading Dr. Beck to the prince's quarters. Jang could hardly believe Yeo-woon was still breathing. There had been a brutal assassination attempt the night before. Jang recalled the gruesome scene. Headless corpses of assassins scattered on the ground, a dagger buried in a man's skull. Amidst the blood, Yeo-woon had been found sleeping soundly. His clothes were torn to shreds by swords, but his skin didn't have a single scratch. It was a miracle. Back inside, Yeo-woon asked the mysterious voice if it had saved his life. The entity explained that it had put his dying body into self-healing mode. It then offered to transfer its user manual directly into his brain. Yeo-woon agreed. Instantly, a shock wave of pain hit him. He doubled over and vomited on the floor. The voice explained this was a natural reaction to loading data into the brain. Then came the shocking truth. Over 6 billion tiny machines were now embedded inside Yeo-woon's body. They could not be removed unless he died. Yeo-woon realized his half-brothers had failed to kill him. But now he was stuck with this unknown power and a knock sounded at the door. "Dr. Beck." Yeo-woon panicked, not wanting to look crazy by talking to himself. He ordered the machine to be quiet. It confirmed it would enter silent mode. The doctor entered and immediately noticed the foul odor. He grabbed Yeo-woon's wrist to check his pulse. His eyes went wide with shock. "This isn't a sickness," the doctor said. "It's a rare opportunity." He explained that Yeo-woon's body had been completely cleansed. The sticky black spots were actually waste and toxins forced out of his system. His energy flow had been fully activated. The doctor declared that Yeo-woon now possessed the perfect body for martial arts training. Yeo-woon realized the truth. The machine hadn't just healed him, it had optimized him. He mentally commanded the machine to speak again. It confirmed that it had extracted all impurities and reshaped his muscles, joints, and blood vessels to perfection. Yeo-woon asked one last time, "Are you sure you're not an evil god?" The voice replied calmly, "I'm not an evil god. I am a machine master." When Dr. Beck examined the prince, he was completely baffled. He found nothing wrong and simply prescribed an energy tonic that, as the doctor left, he thought about how incredibly strange this was. He remembered the prince as a weak boy with no martial arts skills, someone doomed to be pushed out of the ranks. But now, the prince's body was in perfect condition. Beck realized the boy could probably learn martial arts better than any of the other royal heirs. He wrongly assumed the lord had been secretly protecting him. Inside the room, Yeo-woon was just glad the doctor hadn't discovered his secret. He thanked Gar Jang for saving his life earlier. Jang awkwardly pinched his nose and pointed out that the prince smelled terrible and really needed to wash up first. Yeo-woon wholeheartedly agreed. In the bath, Yeo-woon asked Nano about its self-healing mode. Nano explained that it could quickly heal any internal or external wound caused by impact. However, major injuries like heavy blood loss or a severed limb required much longer because they involved complex cell division. The heavy scientific explanation completely confused the prince. He decided it was better to simply test the power himself. He grabbed a sharp knife and sliced his own hand, instantly feeling the sharp pain. Nano immediately activated self-healing mode. The bleeding stopped, and the cut closed up before his very eyes. The prince was amazed. All of Nano's crazy functions actually worked. That he also noticed something else. His previously weak, skinny body was now packed with lean, toned muscles. Nano revealed it had completely reconstructed his physical form to make him stronger. Fresh out of the bath, the prince went straight to his study. He wanted to get stronger immediately, but he only had one basic book about blood points and chi. Nano instructed him to simply flip through the pages. The prince rapidly flipped through the book, and Nano scanned the entire thing in seconds. Nano then offered to transfer the information directly into the prince's brain. Yeo-woon accepted. A massive shock of electricity hit his head, causing him serious pain. But when the pain faded, he realized he had completely memorized the book. Even better, Nano had used its advanced programming to correct all the errors in the old text. The prince realized he could now understand and master martial arts faster than anyone else in the world. Even though the other clan heirs had trained since birth, he now had the ultimate cheat code. Standing tall, he declared his new goal. He would use this power to become the absolute strongest fighter in the demonic academy. Meanwhile, across the compound, Prince Mukium was throwing a massive fit. He was the one who had sent 5 assassins to eliminate Yeo-woon. Now, he had just discovered that all 5 of his trained men were dead. Mukium refused to believe the weak, low-blood prince had survived on his own. He suspected someone powerful, maybe even the Lord himself, was secretly protecting Yeo-woon. Furious and out of options, Mukium clenched his fist with an evil grin. If his assassins couldn't do the job, he vowed to kill Yeo-woon himself at the demonic academy. It was the morning of the most dangerous day of his life. Prince Cheon Yeo-woon was wide awake. He hadn't slept at all, nervous about finally entering the demonic academy. But he was hiding a huge weakness. He had absolutely no martial arts skills. When his mother passed away, he had sworn an oath to never learn how to fight until he joined the academy. He had to play weak so the powerful 6 clans wouldn't target him. Now, with danger staring him in the face, he wished he had secretly learned Gar Jang's dagger techniques. Suddenly, he remembered his secret weapon. He asked Nano if it could scan the movements of other people. Nano confirmed that it absolutely could. Then came the million-dollar question. Could Nano scan Gar Jang's martial arts training and download it straight into his brain? Nano said yes. Its database contained many techniques ready for transfer. Yeo-woon hesitated for a second. Stealing moves without permission felt wrong, but survival was more important. He immediately ordered Nano to start the scan. It took about half an hour for Nano to analyze the guard's movements and beam the data into Yeo-woon's brain. When the transfer finished, Yeo-woon tested it. The results were unbelievable. Without any hard work, he perfectly copied Gar Jang's dagger skill. He instantly bypassed the years of daily training and posture corrections that a normal person would need, but the thrill of the ultimate shortcut didn't last. Without warning, his entire body screamed in terrible pain, and he dropped to the floor. Nano quickly translated the medical problem into terms the prince could understand. While his brain knew the techniques perfectly, his physical muscles were far too weak. If he tried to fight like a master without the right body, he would rip his own muscles apart. To fix this, Nano had to perform a full muscle transfer to make his body match his brain. Nano warned that the process would take a couple of hours and cause insane pain. In fact, over 1 million people had fainted from the agony. Yeo-woon tried to be tough and started it without anesthesia. The pain broke him immediately. Nano quickly put him to sleep. While the prince was unconscious, Gar Jang was busy preparing a simple meal for him. Jang felt heavy with grief. It had been exactly 5 years since Lady Hua, the prince's mother, was murdered with poisoned food. Jang prayed to her spirit, begging her to protect the young prince at the academy. Suddenly, Jang heard a strange cry from the prince's room and rushed inside. He found Cheon asleep with a perfectly normal pulse. But then Jang looked at the floor and froze in total shock. He saw fresh footstep marks left behind from Cheon's movements. Jang's mind was completely blown. He realized the prince had somehow mastered 20 years of dagger training, just by watching him practice for 2 years. Cheon wakes up with a massive gasp. The intense pain is finally over. His AI, the Nano machine, just finished upgrading his body by transferring muscle and fiber. Now, he instantly has the muscle memory of a master who trained for 20 years. He jumps up to test his new strength. He grabs a dagger and swings. The blade cuts right through the air. His moves are sharper and way more powerful than before. He swings again, but he is too strong. He accidentally slices the floor and shatters a wooden basin. Cheon panics. He used pure physical strength, known as Wai-gong, without even using his internal energy, called Ni-gong. If his loyal protector, Gar Jang, sees this mess, he's going to be in huge trouble. Just then, Garjang walks in with breakfast. It is a huge plate of stir-fried bok choy, roast pork, and rice with a fried egg. These are all of Cheon's absolute favorite foods. Today is the day he gets admitted to the dangerous demonic academy. Cheon gets super emotional, realizing this might be the very last breakfast Garjang ever makes for him. Nano interrupts his touching moment to warn him about stomach acid, so Cheon temporarily mutes the AI and stuffs his face. After eating, the worst happens. Garjang spots the giant slash mark on the floor. He instantly recognizes the technique. Keon freezes impure terror. In the martial arts world, stealing another person's technique is a massive taboo. He expects Garjang to be furious. Instead, Garjang smiles and tells Cheon he did good. Since Garjang is sworn to protect him, he doesn't care how Cheon learned it. He even hands Cheon a secret manual. This book contains the internal energy flow for the dagger technique. Garjang tells him to learn it and get stronger at the academy. Cheon wipes his eyes and promises he will never cry again. He is ready to face his destiny. Cheon finally arrives at the massive gates of the demonic academy. Over 1,000 young fighters are gathered in the courtyard. Suddenly, a terrifying man appears. It is the Left Guardian, the Fire King Li Wamyang. He is one of the top 5 strongest fighters in the entire demonic cult. Li Wamyang glares at the kids in the front row. These are the dangerous heirs of the 6 great clans. There is Cheon Mu-yun from the Dark Clan, Cheon Kyung-woon from the Sword Clan, and Cheon Mu-kyum from the Spring Clan. Next to them are Cheon Jongsum of the Poison Clan and Cheon Yu-chan of the Blade Clan. Finally, there is Cheon Won-ryu from the Sound Clan, the only female candidate. But the Left Guardian frowns. He looks around the crowd and demands to know where the 7th heir is. The scene shifts to the administrators. At the academy registration, the protagonist is told his name tag is missing. The official dismissively tell Yeo-woon that he will just have to wait until they find one. He isn't fooled. He immediately realizes this is one of the 6 clans' tricks. They clearly do not want him standing in the same row as them. Knowing that nothing good will come out of having a conflict from the very beginning, he decides to wait calmly. He remembers the countless times these bastards try to kill him whenever they had the chance. If they see him now, they will probably try to kill him right away. Yet, his resolve burns brighter than his fear. He swears to himself that he is going to be stronger than anyone else in this demonic academy. After receiving his name tag, he makes his way to the formation. One look at the crowd tells him pushing to the front is impossible, so he quietly takes his place at the very back. Forced to stand all the way in the back, his black number 7 name tag makes him an instant target for gossip. The surrounding candidates recognize him as an heir candidate who isn't from the 6 clans. Whispers spread through the ranks like poison. They mock him, saying rumor has it he hasn't mastered any style of martial arts. They laugh, betting that he will be the first to fail. He knows exactly what they are whispering about, but he chooses to let them laugh. Even the Left Guardian, Fire King, Li Wamyang spots him from afar. Looking at the boy's shabby clothes, the Fire King chuckles, finding it a pretty funny way for the Lord's illegitimate child to receive attention. Suddenly, the blasting sound of horns cuts through the courtyard. The murmuring crowd instantly hushes as someone yells that the Lord is coming out. 4 imposing figures step into the light. The solemn atmosphere shatters when the right guardian, Crazy Blade, Siab Meng stumbles. The Left Guardian eyes him and sneers. "You in shabby clothes? And you drunk bastard." Siab Meng's glare sharpens. "What are you looking at?" They're about to clash when the lead guardian, Great Guardian King, Merakium, silences them with a single terrifying look. Then, the true terror arrives. The Kianma cult lord, Cheon Yu-jong, one of the top 5 strongest warriors in all of Morim, takes his throne. The sheer pressure of his presence is so overwhelming that the students cannot even lift their heads. The Lord speaks, his voice echoing perfectly without him having to shout. The students realize in awe that he is using advanced Nigong just to speak. "You all are responsible for the future of this cult," the Lord declares. "We welcome you." He commands them to train, make ties, and become the power of the cult. The students erupt in roars of absolute devotion. With a brief good work, the Lord turns his back and leaves. Watching him walk away, the illegitimate son feels a bitter sting. This is the first time he is meeting his father, and all he received were cold eyes. He reminds himself that this is the same man who didn't even show up when his mother died. He tells himself he didn't expect anything anyway. With the Lord gone, the Fire King steps up to explain the brutal reality of their new lives. But the candidates are talking over each other. That is enough to make the Fire King pissed off. With anger filling his voice, he shouts, "Who said it's time to chit-chat?" They fall silent immediately. Only then does he begin to explain. First, he orders them to get in line, and then he starts. The academy will last for 4 years and consists of 6 stages. After each stage, they take a test, and they're given only one chance to pass. When students start murmuring about what happens if they fail, Siab Meng smiles ruthlessly. The ones who do not pass will be expelled instantly. The heir of the Sword Clan raises his hand to ask a question. The Fire King glares at him. "Who said I was taking any questions?" The words hit hard. The Sword Clan kid starts to summon his aura, but it backfires. Siab Meng unleashes a terrifying aura of lightning. "You heard me. What are you going to do about it? I'm sure you've heard that the moment you step foot into the academy, you lose all privileges as heirs to the patriarch and members of the 6 clans. Do you want to be disqualified from the tournament before it even begins?" Other heirs start to laugh at him. He lowers his head and apologizes to the Fire King. After the apology, Siab Meng reveals why the rules are so harsh, the special benefits. The first benefit for passing a stage is the Black Dragon Ball. The crowd gasps. It's a legendary medicine that grants 20 years' worth of Nigong. While others worry about the difficulty of absorbing it, Yeowon realizes this is his ultimate lifeline. He has 0 Nigong right now, but passing these tests could instantly catapult his power. The second benefit is the Martial Arts Book of Secrets. The Academy's library has 5 floors, and each past test grants access to a new floor. Students could potentially learn the supreme secrets of the 6 clans. Yeowon knows that to survive this hell, martial arts knowledge is even more important than raw Nigong. But before anyone can dream of ultimate power, Siab Meng drops one final, crushing warning. He glares at the hopeful faces and sneers, telling them that most of them won't make it to the 5th floor, even if they were resurrected. As he speaks, Instructor Siab Meng takes a swig from his gourd and mutters that Lee is the absolute best at boosting morale and destroying it all at once, adding that he doesn't like anything Lee Wang-myung does. Lee then reveals the third and final benefit of entering the academy. Everything changes because they can finally earn a rank they've never had before. He emphasizes that even the candidates have no ranks or privileges here yet. From this moment forward, only the strong will survive. He lays out the brutal progression system. Passing Stage 1 grants the title of low-ranked warrior. Stage 2 yields middle-ranked warrior. Stage 3 gives high-ranked warrior. Stage 4 promotes them to squad leader, and Stage 5 crowns them clan leader. Lee casually skips explaining Stage 6, noting it doesn't matter since most of them won't even pass 3 stages regardless of what they do. Hearing this, the crowd murmurs in disbelief, realizing how impossible the upper stages are. Cheon Yeowon comes to a chilling realization. If surviving assassination attempts was his biggest problem until now, surviving the academy means he actually has to climb the ranks. Before they can even process the rules, Lee drops another bombshell. They will form dorm groups and jump right into the first test immediately. The crowd erupts in panic, shouting about how unfair it is to be tested before learning anything and fearing the threat of expulsion. Lee silences them with a roar. He declares that anyone who fails will be expelled, completely unworthy of even the low-ranked warrior title. The first test targets basic skills, and they will need at least basic Nigong to pass. Those without it will be banished to the agricultural, commercial, or service districts, essentially a death sentence. He coldly mocks them, joking that they do need people for the dirty work, so they shouldn't try too hard. Panic washes over Yeowon. He realizes this was the grand plan all along. The ladies of the 6 clans made him swear an oath never to learn Nigong specifically to doom him in this exact moment. If he fails, he joins the lowest clan, making him an easy target for anyone to kill. Nearby, an arrogant candidate from one of the 6 clans smirks, thinking this perfect setup will save him the trouble of killing Yeowon himself. Suddenly, the proctor for the first test steps forward. It is Hang So-yu, the 5th elder of the demonic cult and the clan leader of the Sound Clan. Armed with a traditional lute, her mere presence strikes terror into the students. Lee announces that they must endure her controlled musical energy wave for 1 single minute without fainting to pass. The 5th elder strums her instrument, unleashing a devastating wave of sonic energy. Immediately, candidates from the smaller clans collapse, clutching their bleeding ears in absolute agony. It becomes clear that the candidates from the 6 clans are holding their ground, relying on the immense Nigong they gathered from childhood medicines. The candidates are pushed to their absolute limits. Blood trickles from their ears as they sway, desperate to maintain their footing. One rival grits his teeth, groaning under the crushing sonic weight. An elite clan member notices something wrong. The 5th elder is playing with terrifying intensity, her expression distorted with fury. Following her gaze, he and the other elites painfully turn their heads to look behind them. There, amidst the groaning, bloodied cadets, stands Cheon Yeowon. His posture is perfectly straight, his expression mildly confused, and he isn't even breaking a sweat. The elite candidates are stunned. How can a bastard with no Nigong be completely fine? However, the 5th elder's playing suddenly becomes terrifyingly fast and intense. Her face twists in absolute rage as she glares directly at one specific student. It's Cheon Yeowon. While half the field is writhing on the floor, Yeowon stands completely unfazed. He's just as confused as everyone else, wondering why he isn't suffering internal injuries like the rest. Suddenly, the Nano machine speaks in his mind. It detected the dangerous high and low-frequency waves and activated an emergency defense mode, temporarily shutting down his body's ability to hear sound. The Nano machine is bypassing his ears entirely, sending its voice directly into his brain. Yeowon cheekily asks if Nano can also block the angry elder's intimidating glare, but quickly takes it back when Nano offers to blind him. Watching from the stairs, Lee Myung is completely mind-blown. He knows this intense energy wave should crush anyone with less than 20 years of Nigong. Seeing Yeowon endure the pressure in such a stable condition, Lee realizes the rumors of the boy having no Nigong must be completely wrong. He grins, thrilled by the most exciting test he's seen since joining the academy. Sensing the tension, Yeowon commands his nano machine to analyze the facial muscle movements of the 5th elder and the others at the front. Nano's augmented reality display scans the 5th elder's face, detecting a volatile mix of absurdity, surprise, petulance, and raw anger. Yeowon realizes that even though he can't hear the music, the hostility is palpable. He immediately identifies the problem. Their pride is deeply wounded. They expected an illegitimate child with zero internal energy, Nigong, to collapse instantly. If Yeowon passes this first test in pristine condition, they will never believe he lacks Nigong. Knowing he has to sell the lie, Yeowon makes a terrifying request. He orders Nano to give him an internal injury. Nano questions the command, asking if the master truly wants to damage his own organs, advising against intentionally harming the body. But Yeowon's resolve is absolute. He commands that he doesn't care. Once the performance is over, Nano must give him an internal injury and make him vomit blood. Nano accepts the order, preparing to force internal organ damage. As the test reaches the 1-minute mark, the 5th elder continues to strum her instrument. She stares down at the boy who isn't even 15 years old, utterly insulted that he is enduring her technique so easily while the rest of the applicants lay sprawled on the ground. She thinks to herself that she cannot end it like this, her pride blinding her. Refusing to be humiliated, she recklessly decides to pour half of the power in her entire body into the performance just to break him. The sudden spike in pressure is immediate. The heir of the Poison clan flinches and coughs, realizing how dangerous the situation just became. Before the fifth elder can crush him completely, a red-haired man leaps forward with his hand outstretched, screaming for her to stop, warning that any more will be dangerous. Shocked back to her senses, she abruptly halts the music. With the music finally over, the surviving applicants gasp for air, collapsing to their knees in relief. Nearby, the right guardian drinks from his gourd, noting that if the fifth elder had used even a fraction more power, every single applicant would have failed. He watches in disbelief that she let her emotions spiral so violently out of control. Realizing her catastrophic mistake, the fifth elder curses herself, wondering what she just did. She admits she couldn't control her anger against that young bastard and blindly raised half her power, bitterly blaming everything on the violation against the 6 clans and Cheon Yeowon himself. Just as the examiners catch their breath, Yeowon suddenly groans. With a horrific scream, he violently spews a massive fountain of blood into the air. The examiners look on in pure shock. The other applicants stare in horror, asking what is happening and how he could throw up that much blood, wondering if he is dying right in front of them. Internally, Nano reports that the program has been processed. It confirms damage to about 30% of the body's organs, forcing blood to flow back as much as possible. Yeowon collapses to the ground in agonizing pain, internally screaming at Nano, calling him crazy and insisting he thought he was dying. The red-haired man sprints toward Yeowon, terrified of the political fallout. If a member of the leader's heir dies during the test, he knows he will be held entirely responsible. He grabs the boy, shouting, asking if he's okay, and furiously yelling that Yeowon could have just given up. Nano alerts Yeowon to a 7% blood loss and attempts to activate self-healing mode for the organ damage. Even though Nano warns him his condition is dangerous, Yeowon weakly commands the machine to wait just a little longer to ensure the deception works. The red-haired man grabs Yeowon's wrist to check his pulse, desperate to see how much Nigong the boy used to endure the onslaught. But his eyes go wide with pure shock. He has none. Watching the boy cough up more blood, the man realizes the terrifying truth. He had heard bad rumors about the 7th prince, but to pass this brutal test with 0 internal energy means he did it entirely through pure mental strength and sheer will. He concludes that this one is crazy. The red-haired man orders his men to take Yeowon to the infirmary. Safely out of the spotlight, Yeowon, satisfied that the lie is secure, finally commands Nano to heal him quickly. Back at the courtyard, the 5th elder is still shaken, amazed that he took severe internal injuries yet endured her energy wave like it was nothing. The red-haired man confronts her, bluntly stating that she almost killed him. When she asks if the boy possessed even a bit of Nigong, he confirms Yeowon has absolutely none. He explains he tested the boy's pulse. Yeowon kept his oath and endured catastrophic injuries through nothing but his iron will. The 5th elder is left trembling, realizing that the boy's sheer willpower is enough to be genuinely scary. The red-haired man stares in the direction Yeowon was taken, secretly wishing he could take the boy as his own personal student. However, he knows that going against the wishes of the 6 dominant clans would bring nothing but disaster. Meanwhile, the man with the gourd chugs his alcohol and bursts into laughter, yelling that this is fun. Red Hair angrily tells the drunk bastard to get lost and go drink in a corner. When the drunk casually remarks that he was going to leave anyway, Red Hair reminds him that if he weren't a guardian, his big mouth would have gotten him killed a long time ago. Suddenly, an intense, crushing wave of energy floods the courtyard. Red Hair freezes, recognizing the terrifying presence, the right and left guardians. The drunk man chugs his alcohol and walks away, mocking the fallen applicants for having no grit. But as he leaves, a sinister smile crosses his face. Compared to them, he admits he really likes that kid, Cheon Yeowon. On the 2nd floor of the academy's main hall, inside the infirmary, physician Baek Jong-myung reviews a medical record. Suddenly, a shout echoes from outside. There is a patient. Before the guard can even knock, he flings the door open and pokes his head out to see if it's really a patient. When he sees him, his eyes bulge and a wild, manic grin stretches across his face as he stammers about having a patient, his voice trembling with terrifying joy. He exclaims that he finally has a real patient on his first day in this position and that he likes this academy. The guards freeze, staring at the glowing doctor. The lead guard silently wonders what is wrong with this man. He recalls the physician studied under the legendary Baek Jong-yu. But this enthusiasm seems like pure madness. Lost in his own world of happiness, Baek Jong-myung leads the way, urging them to hurry. Finally, after get to his room, the doctor looking at the battered, unconscious protagonist, Dr. Beck immediately asks if the boy was stabbed in the stomach, but a guard grimly shakes his head, revealing the boy is suffering from severe internal wounds. The guard explains that because the boy possesses absolutely no Nigong, the left guardian specifically requested that the doctor take special care of him. As the guards turn to leave, one of them pauses, scratching his head as he notices that the kid's condition actually looks a lot better than it did before. He shakes off the thought and departs. Left alone, Dr. Beck is completely baffled. He realizes that even if someone were to bite their own tongue, they wouldn't bleed this much from a strictly internal injury. What the doctor doesn't know is that his unconscious patient is wide awake in his own mind, violently cursing his own mistake. The boy realizes he completely forgot he was being taken to the infirmary, and he accidentally allowed his body to heal almost all of the internal damage. Dr. Beck, sensing a dangerously fast and irregular pulse from the remaining damage, decides his best course of action is to start off with some acupuncture. Suddenly, an explosive crash rocks the room. Dr. Beck jumps out of his skin, collapsing to the floor in pure terror. Standing in the doorway, reeking heavily of alcohol, is the terrifying right guardian. The guardian immediately starts mocking the trembling doctor, laughing that the cowardly little kid who used to cling to his teacher has somehow grown up to become the academy's official doctor. Dr. Beck forces a polite, strained smile, internally complaining about the guardian's annoying tone, and asks what brings the uninjured man to the infirmary. The right guardian unleashes a terrifying aura and asks if the doctor doesn't like him being there. The doctor replies that he is welcome to stay as he likes, realizing he can't force the man out, and reluctantly steps aside. The right guardian then completely ignores the doctor's question. Instead, his sharp eyes lock onto the boy lying on the bed. He muses with a dark grin that the boy is such an interesting kid. The boy's heart begins to pound violently in his chest. He panics, wondering if this powerful warrior has already figured out that he is only pretending to be critically injured. The right guardian steps up to the bed, leans over, and drops a bomb. He asks why the boy is pretending to be asleep. Before the boy can even react, the right guardian extends his hand, and a massive surge of invisible Nigong wraps around the protagonist. Without even touching him, the guardian forcibly rips the boy's upper body straight off the bed into a sitting position. Dr. Beck screams in shock at the sheer display of power. The boy struggles, realizing he cannot move his body at all because his internal repairs aren't finished yet. The right guardian leans in close, his smile turning wicked, and threatens that if the boy keeps pretending to sleep, he is going to hit him right in the face. Defeated, the boy opens his eyes, admitting he got caught. He asks how the guardian knew. The right guardian throws his head back and erupts into uproarious laughter, mocking the boy for being embarrassed. He explains that any experienced warrior can easily tell if someone is truly asleep just by the sound of their breathing. An average human male, his age, takes about 12 to 20 breaths per minute, but the boy's breathing was hovering around an unnatural 8 times a minute. The boy realizes with dread that the guardian came here specifically because he noticed the fake out. Complaining that kids these days lack endurance and always take the easy way out, the right guardian points his finger at the boy's face. He states that the boy has the will that the others don't. Seeing his patient pushed to the brink, Dr. Beck tries to intervene, warning that the patient isn't in good condition and needs treatment. The right guardian furiously shuts him down, roaring that an adult is talking right now and he should wait. The boy then coughs up a sickening amount of blood from the pressure. Abruptly, the right guardian completely releases his Nigong grip, letting the injured boy slam back down onto the mattress in pain. Then, he makes an offer that changes everything. He declares he wants to take the boy in as a student. The boy is utterly stunned. He reminds the guardian that he is the infamous seventh prince, and asks if the powerful six clans won't hate the guardian for taking him under his wing. Taking a casual swig from his gourd, the right guardian laughs off the threat. He scoffs, asking what they can really do about it, pointing out that the clans will constantly fight and compete with each other regardless of what he does. Meanwhile, Dr. Beck connects the dots. He realizes the boy is the legendary seventh prince and feels pity that the Academy's hazing forced him to lose so much blood. The boy, however, remains silent, wondering if this incredible offer is actually a deadly trap. Sensing the hesitation, the right guardian throws a massive tantrum, screaming that the boy's doubts are making it look like the guardian is begging for a student. Exhausted and out of options, the boy finally relents and agrees. The right guardian declares that if the boy is still unconvinced, he will offer him something he can't turn down. He pulls out a mysterious paper and tosses it directly onto the mattress. When the boy asks what it is, the guardian grins and reveals it's what the boy needs most to survive here in the demonic academy. The right guardian pauses to remind the boy that he is stuck in the infirmary right at the start of the academy, asking if he isn't worried about falling behind. He gives the seventh prince a chilling challenge. Even though he was able to pass the first test with sheer will, does he think someone without Nigong like him can pass the second test? The right guardian's mocking laughter fills the infirmary as he reminds the young seventh prince of his grim reality. He sharply asks if the boy isn't worried about falling behind, pointing out that anyone aiming to be a warrior must always think a step ahead of the rest. While the prince is stuck recovering in a bed for weeks, the other cadets will undoubtedly surge forward and leave him in the dust. The boy grimaces, unable to deny the harsh truth, but he knows he must stay put for a bit to avoid suspicion regarding his rapid healing. Taking another casual swig from his gourd, the right guardian leans in and asks if the boy knows why the left guardian sent him to the infirmary in the first place. The prince assumes it is simply due to his severe internal injuries, but the guardian points out a glaring inconsistency. Many other kids suffered internal damage during the test, yet absolutely none of them were brought here. The realization strikes the boy. Most martial artists in Murim can heal their own internal damage through meditation. The guardian cruelly confirms that the others could heal themselves at least a little bit, making the infirmary completely unnecessary for them. The prince realizes he is entirely alone in this room, simply because he is a kid who cannot even meditate to heal. Slamming the bed, the right guardian points out that curing internal damage quickly without Nigong is practically impossible. The boy silently agrees with the guardian's logic, knowing he desperately needs Nigong for the next stage, though he secretly possesses the Nano machine's aid. Suddenly, the right guardian erupts into boisterous laughter, realizing the left guardian forgot to mention a crucial detail. He reveals that passing the first test grants the cadets a medicine ball and access to the first floor of the Academy's highly secure library. However, there is a brutal catch. A cadet can only enter the library once after passing a test, and they're strictly limited to just 2 hours on the first floor. To make matters worse, writing any content down is absolutely forbidden. Every technique must be perfectly memorized before leaving the building. The boy is initially horrified, viewing this as another impossible mountain to climb, since memorizing even 2 books is incredibly difficult. But a moment later, his eyes widen in shock as a new thought forms. With Nano scanning abilities, this strict time limit isn't a handicap. It's a massive advantage. While others struggle to read 1 book, he could effortlessly scan hundreds of texts within the 2-hour window. The right guardian acknowledges the grueling 4-year journey ahead and tests the boy's resolve. Without martial arts or Nigong, unlike the clan-trained cadets, the prince is at a severe disadvantage. Drawing his attention to the mysterious paper resting by his head, the guardian confirms it is the highly coveted breath of Nigong. He makes his final offer. If the boy becomes a student, he will teach him the breathing technique right away. The prince weighs his options, knowing he needs at least one powerful ally to survive the 6 clans' constant threats. Pushing through his pain, the boy rolls off the bed, kneels on the floor, and deeply bows. He formally accepts the right guardian as his teacher, begging to be taken in as a student. Pleased, the guardian instructs him that a student must bow twice, but before the boy can finish his second motion, a massive surge of blue Nigong forcefully lifts him back to his feet. The guardian proudly declares that the blood of Cheon should not bow to anyone other than the Lord himself. Acknowledging him as a student, the guardian orders the boy to rest and memorize the breathing points until his return as he departs. The right guardian casually slaps Dr. Beck on the shoulder, ordering the henchman to take good care of his new student. The doctor, reeling from the chaotic storm of aura that just filled his clinic, approaches the battered boy and congratulates him on securing the eccentric master. Noting the boy's pale complexion and erratic pulse, Dr. Beck promises to return with acupuncture tools. Lying back down, the prince reflects on his incredible fortune. Between Nano and the right guardian, he finally has someone on his side against his enemies. Meanwhile, at the demonic academy practice field, instructor Ho Jin Chong reports the grim results of the first test to the left guardian. Only 415 cadets passed, including the prince, marking a massive drop of 200 compared to a decade ago due to the overwhelming intensity of the energy waves. Down below, the failed cadets furiously rebel, screaming that their expulsion is unfair just because they foamed at the mouth. The instructor looks down at them with cold, piercing disgust. He questions if they really want to spend their lives in servitude or farming. And when they continue to protest, he decides there is no other choice. With a swift, brutal command, he orders the rebelling cadets to be kicked out of the academy. The instructors launch themselves directly into the crowd, initiating a rapid and merciless beatdown. They move like a blur, their strikes perfectly calculated and devastatingly heavy. Bodies are violently launched into the air as powerful kicks connect with ribs and chests. The failed cadets scream and cough up blood, their bodies folding under the intense pressure of true martial artists. The cadets are utterly powerless against the instructor's overwhelming speed, completely losing control as the instructors forcefully clear the field of anyone daring to complain. Watching the brutal clearing from above, the left guardian and instructor Ho Jin Chong silently note that the expelled cadets never stood a chance against the truly skilled ones out front. The left guardian admits the test was unfairly difficult, specifically raised in intensity because of Cadet 7. Looking at the survivors who passed the exam, now meditating to heal their internal damage, he highlights the terrifying gap in power. 8 candidates from the upper 6 clans passed with absolute ease, proving they are on an entirely different level. To endure the Elder's energy waves without taking damage requires hundreds of years of gathered Nigong. The left guardian's sharp gaze lands on 2 exceptional prodigies who didn't even flinch. Number 1, Cheon Mu Yun of the Dark Clan, and number 5, Cheon Yu Chan of the Blade Clan. A wicked, anticipating smile stretches across the left guardian's face as he realizes the brutal battle for supremacy will be heavily contested by these 2 massive clans. He grins into the wind, declaring that this brutal survival game is going to be very interesting.
And first of all, don't forget to subscribe my channel and like, comment, share, and